Okay, I used to enjoy using my computer, right? Years ago. I grew up around computers, I learned how to use them, and they were a pleasure. They would do what I wanted to do when I told them what to do. Now, companies like Microsoft have grossly overstepped their bounds by implementing a habit of adjusting people's operating systems without their say so. In the past, when you obtained Microsoft Office, sorry, not Office, Microsoft Windows, or any of their products, you would be in possession of that product and it was yours. Nothing was ever changed on it unless you changed it. You had complete control. The problem now is that Microsoft has decided, and they should never have been permitted to do this, that they are going to implement a policy of going into people's machines behind their backs and modifying the operating system without their permission. And it's, oh, never mind. Do you know how invasive and rude that is? That's exactly the same as someone buying a physical product from the shop and then the person who sold it to them coming into their house when they're not there and modifying that product. I didn't agree to that. Oh, well, if you look at the terms, and no one would agree to that. I don't want Microsoft touching my machine, which they now try to make you feel as though is their machine, that you're privileged to access. Microsoft's wrong. Some disgusting worm in their offices decided, hey, we can get away with this. This is the way. No, you don't do it. There are such things as manners. Okay, you do not behave towards other people in disgraceful, rude ways. And that's what Microsoft is doing. And I don't know how to fix it, because it needs to be fixed. This message needs to get back to Microsoft that they need to be forced, to stop doing this. I am tired of this. Every time I come to my machine, my computer, everything's changed. That's an exaggeration. It's not every time and it's not everything. But it doesn't matter. If it was one thing, that would be too much. I don't want someone else fooling around with my computer when I'm not looking, when I'm not involved. That's not what computing is. Computing used to give the user power and control. Now, computing is being used to take away power and control from people. To take away power and control from people. To make them feel powerless. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, and it needs to be stopped. Everyone knows it. Not one single person enjoys Microsoft going into their computer and then changing everything or changing things. Oh, they just presume they can do it because, well, who's going to say anything? That doesn't matter. This is the problem with control or influence coming from companies, because companies cannot observe behavioral standards unless they are run by someone who has them, who imposes them, or they are forced to do so by governmental pressure or force. A company left to its own devices and people operating under those auspices are capable of. The point is that this has to be stopped. Alright? I've said this before. The old way, I know why Microsoft is doing it. In principle, it's to make sure that their software is not vulnerable. So, because people are always working on ways to interfere with their software, creating viruses and the like, they want to make sure that their software is not vulnerable. But it used to be handled by the customer. It was their responsibility, and it still is our responsibility, to use antivirus software provided by another party to make sure our computers were safe, that we weren't going to get these problems. But Microsoft has decided, oh, we're just going to invade people's computer ourselves and manipulate the product. No, you don't do that. When the product leaves your service, right, and it's in the possession of the customer, you're done. You leave it alone, and on principle, you do not interfere with what someone has. It's theirs. And Microsoft just thinks, oh well, we can do what we want. Do you know how invasive it is to feel that your computer is being manipulated when you're not actively using it, against your will, against your wishes? You can't do that. You can't do that. We can't allow this to happen. So I'm sorry, Microsoft. What you've done is wrong, and you need to stop doing it. And if we have to go back to using antivirus software, I would happily do so, because I do not want Microsoft doing anything on my computer and trying to make me feel as if it's not mine, trying to make me feel as though it's their possession that I am happen to be using. How disgusting of Microsoft to presume in that way. Now I don't know how to affect this change, how to fix this problem. And this kind of problem has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. The problem is when companies get this big, they just get out of control. I don't want to come to my computer to use it and find anything has been done that I didn't make happen. That's the whole point of having a computer. You have control. Complete and absolute and utter control. There must be a way of kicking Microsoft out. I don't know how to do it. I didn't need to know how to do it in the past because Microsoft was obeying custom, which is manners. You do not interfere with someone's product when it's left your domain. When the person's taken possession of it, it's theirs. You can advise them on what to do, but you do not interfere with that product, and that is exactly what Microsoft is doing. Now, the person, the user of the computer, has to know how to kick Microsoft the hell out of their machine. And Microsoft, ideally, truly, Microsoft's goal and ambition is that the user has no power or control over their own computer at all, and that Microsoft actually owns every operating system or controls everyone's computer. That's what they want. They can see this power, this opportunity for control, and they're like, right, we want it. And that's the problem. And they have to be stopped from doing so. The same as anything which gets out of control, it has to be stopped from doing what it's doing. So how do we stop it? On an individual basis, I suppose, a person has to find out how to stop Microsoft doing this. But in general, the problem is when so many people who don't understand how to use computers are affected by this, they take it as the norm. It shouldn't be the norm. It should be stopped absolutely industry-wide. Who has the authority to do that? I mean, Microsoft's a company, I presume, based in the United States. Will the United States government do anything? This crap has to stop. I tried using another operating system, Linux or Linux, however you want to pronounce it. And it's not the same. Microsoft is a good operating system. It's functional. I mean, there are a lot of things that need to be changed in it, but ultimately it's fine. Linux it feels cold and dead. That's the problem. You feel like an outsider when you're using it. If there's a specific reason you want to use Linux and you're interested in that, go ahead, fine. And it will feel cold and dark and empty and soulless. Microsoft Windows feels good to use for the most part. But why has it been ruined this way? In order to use something that used to be fine, now you have to worry about some idiot who's in Microsoft, right? Someone is responsible. Some nasty piece of work in Microsoft has said, okay, let's do this because we can. Now, because you can doesn't mean you should. This is the problem with Microsoft. In the old days, it was a respectable company that provided something for the user, and it was like, we'll help you if you need it. Now it's, we will help you no matter what you want. We will just force our help on you. No, man, that's disgusting. That's not how it works. And that's got to be stopped.